Did you know that some experiments in the past were so disturbing they sounded more like horror stories than real science? These experiments were not fiction. They were real, and they were conducted on real people. This is Informboom. Today, you will hear about 10 disturbing experiments from the past. The most unsettling one is waiting at the very end. In the early days of psychology, scientists tried to understand fear itself. People were placed in isolated rooms and exposed to frightening images, sounds, and unfamiliar conditions. Some experiments lasted for hours. Others lasted for days. Researchers learned how quickly the human mind can break when it feels trapped and powerless. Another disturbing area of research focused on hypnosis and mind-altering substances. Participants were placed into altered states of consciousness to see how suggestion could change thoughts and behavior. Some people followed instructions they would never obey in normal conditions. These experiments raised a frightening question: how much control do we really have over our own minds? Scientists also explored the limits of human endurance. Participants were exposed to extreme discomfort, unnatural body positions, cold, heat, overwhelming noise or light. Many experienced panic, exhaustion, and long-lasting psychological effects. Without ethical limits, science quickly became dangerous. Isolation became another subject of experimentation. People were placed in rooms without clocks, windows, or outside sounds. Days blended together. Time lost meaning. Some participants began to hear sounds or see things that were not there. The human brain, it turns out, cannot exist in silence for long without creating its own reality. Sleep deprivation experiments were once considered harmless. Participants were kept awake for long periods of time. At first came irritation and confusion, then memory problems. Eventually, hallucinations. These experiments proved that sleep is not optional. Without it, the mind begins to break down. Some experiments focused on electrical stimulation of the brain. Researchers believed that if thoughts are electrical signals, then electricity could influence behavior. Participants reported sudden mood changes, confusion, and a strange loss of control over their thoughts. Scientists realized too late that they were interfering with systems they did not fully understand. Psychological stress experiments pushed people into extreme emotional states. Participants were made to feel responsible for harm that never actually happened. They were pressured by authority and intense judgment. Many began to obey commands they would normally refuse. These experiments revealed how fragile human morality can become under pressure. Memory manipulation became another focus. Participants were repeatedly told that past events happened differently than they remembered. Over time, some began to believe false memories. Others lost trust in real ones. Science discovered something unsettling. Memory can be rewritten. Researchers even attempted to influence dreams. Sounds and words were played while participants slept. Although they did not remember the input, their emotions and decisions changed afterward. The most disturbing part was that they did not know why. Sleep was no longer a safe place. Finally, some experiments explored the boundary between life and death. Scientists attempted to stimulate non-living tissue using electricity and chemicals. In some cases, tissues reacted, moved, responded. Even the researchers were disturbed. They were forced to confront one question: where does life truly end? These experiments are now part of history, but the questions they raised remain. This is Informboom. Subscribe and stay with us.